So before we begin section 3A, we just wanted to review how to find slope and then also how does that apply to parallel and perpendicular lines. So remember when they're giving you a graph, to find slope, you can just count your rise over your run. So my rise is how much I'm going up or down, and my run is how much I'm going left and right. So start at your point furthest to the left, count how much you're going up and how much you're going over. So I went up 1, and I'm going right 2. So then on question number 2, starting at my point furthest to the left, I'm going down 2, and I'm going right 2. So notice that I put a -2 when I was going down and a +2 when I'm going to the right. So then I would still simplify, so my slope would be -1/1, which you can go back and check. If I start at a point and I go down 1, right 1, I should be landing on that line. All right, then on the next page, it's wanting you to identify if you have parallel or perpendicular lines. So if we have parallel lines, our slopes have to be the same. And if we have perpendicular lines, our slopes have to be opposite reciprocals. So remember, opposite means that we're going to have a positive or negative number, and reciprocals mean that you're going to have them flipped up as a fraction. So if I had 2/3, then that reciprocal would become 3/2. So as I look at number 1, I'm going to ask, is it parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Are they the same? No, so it's not parallel. Are they opposites and reciprocals? Yes, they are opposites because one is positive, one is negative. No, they are not reciprocals because the reciprocal of 12 would be 1/12. So therefore, this answer would be neither. Number 2, if I have 8/9 and 8/9, that one's pretty easy. My slopes are both the same, so my answer would be parallel. Number 3, I see that they are not the same, so they are not parallel. I see that they are reciprocals, because if I make this into a fraction, it would be 1/8. However, it is not opposites. One is not positive and the other negative. So this one would be neither. And then number 4, I see that they are not the same. They are reciprocals and they are opposites. So this would be an example of it being perpendicular. All right. Then on page 3, you're going to practice doing the same thing, but now actually writing the number out. So if I'm slope of a parallel line, that means that I would keep the same slope. If I'm the slope of the perpendicular line, that means I have to change signs. So it was positive, so now it's negative. And then I have to do the reciprocal. So that means this is going as a fraction, so 3/1, and then it's becoming -1/3. Pause the video and try number 2. So in this one, you should have put that parallel line was 8, and then your perpendicular slope would be -1/8. On number 3, notice that it's already in fraction form, so you shouldn't have to change anything for your fraction. You just have to flip it around. So for example, this would stay as 3/7. For perpendicular, it's going to change signs, and then it's going to become -7/3. All right, on the very last page is where they're going to give you points. Now you're going to have to actually use the slope formula. So you're going to have to use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So remember, when you have an ordered pair, it always goes x, y, x, y. Your first point gets 1s, your second point gets 2s. So I'm going to find the slope of this first line. So line 1 would be 2 minus, all right, I'll switch it around, 1 minus 2. And then on the bottom, 3 minus 1. So I find that answer and I would get -1/2. Then I'll do the same thing for line 2. Second y minus the first y. Second x minus the first x. So I would find that answer and I would get +1/2. This would be an example where they would be neither because they are not exactly the same. So folks, that's what you're going to do with this packet is you're going to focus on finding the slope and then determining if it's parallel, perpendicular, or neither.